Hello chess fans, my name is Sasha and this is the first video on my new YouTube channel, and I thought a little bit about it, what I should do here in my first video, and I thought, well, I'm a King's Indian player, I love King's Indian and King's Indian attack of course, and what better to start with than one of the greatest players of all time himself, Mr. Bobby Fischer. We're gonna have a look at the game Fischer versus Sherwin, which took place in 1975. And since Bobby Fischer was born in 1943, he was just 14 years old when he played this game, and this is also the first game from his book, My 60 Memorable Games. Yeah, and let's not talk too much around, it's just getting started, and let's have a look at this King's Indian attack he played. E4, c5 happened, knight f3, e6, and d3. And Fischer was telling in his book that he thought that d3 was a pretty good idea against second e6 in the Sicilian, because it would lead to a good kind of King's Indian for white, and that e6 is not that useful as other moves, because black has to avoid e5 in many lines, as we will see in the game, and therefore e6 is not best, e5 would be better probably, so therefore he thought that this move order is pretty good for white. And many players nowadays agree with it, so there are a lot of players that play at third move d3 only against second e6 and not against other moves, and if e6 doesn't happen, they play normal open Sicilians, and against second e6 they prefer d3. I'm a King's Indian attack player myself, and I always or often start with knight f3 nowadays. When I was a little bit younger, I played e4 as well, and there's not much difference in between, but I like the setup with e6 for white as well. So this is a good version. Knight c6 happened in this game, g3, knight f6, bishop g2, and so therefore it's pretty okay. Bishop e7, white is just normal developing here with short castles, and this is a typical King's Indian plan that will arise. And black should do something about it. Black should do something in the center. There are a lot of moves that are okay, we know nowadays, but of course this is a pretty old game, so players with black didn't know what to do exactly here. And black will took a pretty passive position, and that's not good, because King's Indian attack is quite dangerous if you don't do nothing with black, so you have to do something and you know what to do. And here black played short castle. Maybe this is already a mistake. Maybe it was better to go d5 here immediately, and nowadays players try to avoid short castle as long as possible in this kind of setup, and typical development would be knight d2, and then not short castle. Short castle would be already a mistake, but maybe playing b6, bishop b7, queen c7, and maybe castling long or not even castle for a while, and this kind of modern way to deal with that. But Sherwin played short castle, which already might be bad. Knight bd2. Rook b8 happened in the game. It's it's okay. Like I said earlier, d5 is bad now because of e5. We will see that later on the channel. There are a lot of games that Fischer played, and Fischer already noted that e5 is pretty good in the structure, and white has serious advantages here, and that's not good. So knight bd2 happened, rook b8 as told, with a plan of b5. b5 is not a bad idea to play on the queen side, but he has to do it right away. And game continued with rook e1, very sensible, sometimes helping with e5 later on, and defending e5, or the other idea which normally happens is that white will go h4 later on and play knight f1, knight h2, and to get the knight maybe to g4, playing h5 and going on with his attack. And the rook is freeing f1 for the knight, and like I said, sometimes protecting e4 or e5 later on. Yeah, Sherwin played d6, maybe or mainly to avoid e5. That's not a bad idea. And white is playing c3 now. Fischer shows that there's another plan. As white, you don't have to play h4 and attack on the king side. You can play in the center as well and play c3 followed by d4 if black does nothing about it. And rook e1 is also very helpful here because it's protecting e4 and it's stopping a black idea that we can see here, which would happen after b5. b5 would be best here for black, and after d4 there are a lot of variations. b4 is pretty bad because of e5, and the only idea for black would be to take in between here on c3, but it's not okay because e takes f, c takes d2, and now knight takes d2, which opens up the bishop, and now there are two pieces hanging for black and this is not working. So therefore he would have to play after d4 c takes d, but after c takes d, d5, white has a serious advantage here as well, but that's maybe even best for black. Now e5 is happening, and now we see the use of rook e1. Without rook e1, knight e4 would be possible here, but now it's not, because it's just dropping a pawn, and if the rook wouldn't be here, then after exchanging everything on e4, d4 would fall. But now with rook on e1, it's not possible, and black has to take a rather passive line with knight e7, and now white is still getting a very serious attack here with h4, h5, maybe h6 if black lets it happen, and the knight is coming around here, and this is pretty dangerous, and black has not much play of its own. d4 is very good defended here, therefore it's hard to find good moves with black here, and in a practical game I think most players would prefer just white. In the game Sherwin just played b6, and this is of course already not good for black, that's for sure, because this makes no sense to playing rook b8 and then just playing b6. He needed to play b5 to make this sensible, what he did, but now it's clear that white has advantage. Fischer just plays d4, of course, now playing in the center, using the fact that black basically wastes at least one tempo, maybe two, because b6 is not so useful on its own, so therefore he's now just pushing in the center, and here comes another mistake, of course, queen c7. And queen c7 has a lot of tactical problems connected to rook b8, which we will see, and this will decide the game later on, that there are a lot of tactical problems arising. Fischer follows up with e5. Even in this structure, e5 is pretty good. White is gaining a lot of space at the king side, driving a knight of f6 away, so a defender of the king side, and that's pretty good. Here it would maybe best to just exchange the pawns and try to play against e5. I think this is the best idea here. And then continue with bishop b7, so it's normal development, but of course rook b8 is a waste of tempo here, and white would continue with h4. That's a very typical plan, and then, like I said earlier, just move the knight around here and just go and start an attack, and maybe black has enough counterplay against e5 and all those things, but it's very dangerous. Now even more with a waste of tempo with rook b8. After e5 in the game, Sherwin decided to play knight d5, which looks pretty yeah, pretty sensible, but this has some tactical problems. And yeah, it's a little bit surprising, but Fischer just took on d6. Normally you wouldn't do this, normally you would like to keep the pawn on e5, but here are so many tactical problems that yeah, Fischer just found out that e takes d is pretty strong. Bishop takes d6, of course, and now pretty strong move, knight e4. The problem is with the bishop on, with the rook on b8, that white is threatening to go knight takes d6, followed by c4, driving the knight of d5 away, and then playing bishop f4, with yeah, a lot of problems on this diagonal, and that's a problem. So if c takes d4, then just the variation I mentioned, c4, knight has to go away, and now bishop f4 is just winning. So therefore black can't do this, and black has to do something else, and yeah, that's pretty bad because he basically has to play c4. And this is again advantage for black, for white of course, sorry, not for black, because now the center, yeah, white center is pretty strong, pawn on d4 is very good, and he has a square on e5 to move around, and of course he's now taking a bishop pair. He's taking the bishop on d6, and after queen takes d6, yeah, white is better in space, has a bishop pair. This bishop on g2 here will be pretty strong in the future, and of course the other bishop has a lot of potential as well. And yeah, it's still not easy for black to defend, because Fischer just keeps pushing his opponent, knight g5, with ideas of queen c2 or queen h5, and just attacking, and yeah, black should have stopped this already and played h6 just to drive the knight away, because it's yeah, just too dangerous. And after knight e4, queen d8, white of course would be better, but yeah, black's not losing immediately, and yeah, but he didn't see it coming. He just played knight c7, tried to move the knight around, and my knight doesn't have much potential on c6, and just said, okay, I'll get the knight over here, have a defender here, and to secure the king side. But this is not working tactically. Fischer just plays queen c2, which hits h7 now. There's threatening mate. Therefore, yeah, Sherwin just played knight g6 to block this. This was his idea, but there are a lot of tactical issues. h4 is coming with the threat of h5. Therefore the pawn played knight f6, and now comes yeah, the brilliant, stunning move for his opponent. Fischer just found a brilliant tactical way to use all that we saw already. We just saw the idea of bishop f4. We would win a rook now, because the rook is not defended, and this is one part of the game, and the other is the idea of h5. And if you combine this all together, you find a very, very strong sacrifice. It's not even a sacrifice, but it looks like a sacrifice, which is knight takes h7. This is very stunning. If king takes, then the knight on g6 is just pinned. Therefore bishop f4 is now winning the rook, or in total an exchange and a pawn. So therefore this is no good for black. And so he has to take with a knight, of course. And now comes h5. And now again, if the knight would move, then bishop f4 would just win a rook, and yeah, black would be lost. But yeah, black found a very good way to deal with that, and to fight on in the game, and not to lose immediately. And he thought about for a while and just played knight h4. That's a pretty good practical move, and it's yeah, a very good one as well. Fischer goes on with bishop f4, queen d8, and yeah, now Fischer has to take on h4. If bishop takes b8, then just knight g2, king g2, bishop h7, picking up the bishop on b8, and now black is okay. Black has two pieces for a rook and a pawn, and yeah, it's a very strong bishop here, and therefore black doesn't have any trouble. So Fischer just took on h4, and yeah, white is pawn up, still has his bishop pair, and a lot of attack is going on. But yeah, black could at least fight, and it's not so clear like in all the other variations that we just saw. And now yeah, black finds another good move to deal with that. He's playing rook b7. Some players, of course, would like to take here on b7, but that's not a good idea, because after just bishop takes, you just give up a lot of your advantage, because now black has suddenly counter chances. Now queen d5 is a threat, and yeah, there's no attack anymore maybe, and you have to defend yourself, and that's not something you should do. The bishop on c8 is pretty bad if you don't take on b7. The rook on b7 is not too useful right now, therefore makes not much sense to take it, and you should hardly think about it if you give away such a strong bishop just for an exchange, and your opponent has a strong bishop on a diagonal that you can't stop, basically. So Fischer decided to go on with this attack, playing h6, just to weaken the king side, and after queen h4, which is a very serious blunder. He shouldn't take this pawn, it's not important in the position. Should try to consolidate. Hg happened, and king g7 is very suicide. He should not take this pawn, of course. As you may know, in modern chess, this pawn is always more helpful and blocks white attacks even more than a black pawn would do, so therefore you should not take it normally. And now comes the attack, the end of the attack, rook e4, a very good move, just with the idea of bishop d5, and now the queen has to go away, has to go to h5, and now Fischer used to play rook e3. Rook is just coming over here to the g file or h file, and black has no way to deal with that. There's no way. Just plays f5. What else? But this is just deadly lost. Fischer just develops his attack with all his pieces, and now the queen is joining, and this is too much. Of course, and the bishop is still threatening to take the exchange here. He's not doing it right now, but he will do in a few moves, but just win a pure rook instead of only an exchange. Queen g5, and this attack is just smashing. Queen e7, bishop takes, queen takes, and now rook h7 is winning. King has to go to e8, and now queen f6. If rook f6, then b7 is falling with a whole rook, and in the game he just played rook takes h7, but bishop c6, and that's it. This is done. He has to go bishop, and now e6 is falling, and this is just deadly lost. You can play whatever you like, queen c4 or whatever, and this is of course a dead position. And so after bishop c6, black resigned here, and this is a pretty impressive game that Fischer played here, and it's pretty interesting to watch. His opponent's not making obvious mistakes. He's just playing kind of too passively and not playing with his own ideas against the King's Indian attack, and Fischer just showed it's a very solid setup with a lot of ideas, and you can play different things, and he just crushes his opponent, and like I said, don't forget, Fischer was just 14 years old when he played this game, so this is a pretty good performance, and I think that's the reason why he put this was his first game in his book. And We will see, of course, more about the Kings in the Attack in the future and more of Bobby Fischer, because he's just a great person and it fits pretty good together to me and to the channel, how it will be. Just leave me a comment. If you liked the video, just give thumbs up, and if you have any suggestions what you would like to see, then I'm pretty happy to read your comments, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.